on and Board of Directors, Chairman Cody, and Lady
Thank you, everybody, for making this meeting. The date being December the 20th, 2022. Welcome all of our public, staff, and all of our board members for attending today's meeting. We're doing this holiday season. At this time, I would like to take a call to order.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman Cody. Director Emerson. Director Emerson. Director Odell. Director Stone. Present. Director Lockett. Chairman Cody, Director Lockett will be attended in person. Okay. Director Adams. Director Robinson.
Present.
Director Leggett.
Present.
Director Taylor.
Present.
Chairman Cody.
Present.
Chairman, you have a quorum of today's meeting.
Thank you. First of all, we want to see you on the speech.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to take a moment before we move into our business agenda today. I wanted to make sure, are all online? Can you hear me fine? I know that audio has sometimes been a problem. I want to make sure that you can hear me. Very good. Thank you so much. First, I wanted to offer my apologies for the ongoing frustration that many of you have had with the agenda process, including some of the concerns that Director Robinson expressed yesterday and that you had as a board over time. Our CAT executive and support team, we acknowledge that we've not performed as needed, and we're not going to offer any excuses for that. We acknowledge that the implementation of our process for timely agenda presentation committees needs a vigorous examination. Our executive team, you be aware of this, has this as their sole agenda item and highest priority for our first meeting of 2023. Our executive team meets regularly, and our first meeting of 2023 will be entirely devoted to this matter. My own observations suggest that we do have process, which may need some revision. Always good to take a good fresh look at that. But where we really need to revisit is the ownership and accountability for implementation. There's ownership throughout the process, from the person who originates a particular agenda item up to the manager, up to the chief, and then ultimately always to me in terms of accountability. So I believe that that is where our need is greatest. Please expect a report from us by January 13th. We will include it with that Friday snapshot on how we not only promise to correct, which I know you have heard before, but we will own and demonstrate the accountability that you will see and not just hear, including implementation of the board communication software that Director Odell and others have supported for some time. For the specific agenda, individual agenda action items that you'll consider today, which I think were part of some of the delay and matters of concern. There were a variety of reasons that those items did experience delay and were needed quickly. And we will discuss those reasons for each in presenting the items with a full detailed explanation and answers to any questions you may have as you consider your action on each. This ensures the public, transparent presentation of all. So thank you for that moment to share those thoughts with you. And Mr. Chairman, I'm going to turn it back over to you for the remainder of the agenda.
Thank you.
Just make a comment. I appreciate those words because it is hard to get through a copious amount of reading in time to properly prepare for a board meeting. And if we don't get it in that timely manner, or in my case, if I've got other material related to my role as a county commissioner to read, this makes it extra hard to come to this meeting totally prepared. And what we do in here is of the utmost importance. We need to be able to read and digest this material in order to answer questions that pertain to how we may or may not vote.
Completely understand, Director Stone. Thank you. We do appreciate the time commitment that it requires of each of you, the amount of due diligence you put into thoughtfully considering the agenda items. This one was a rather full agenda. Everyone's not like that, but this one happened to be quite full, in part because of some of the things you're gonna hear us discuss of the emerging deadlines, end-of-year deadlines, some things that just got created or some things that, we, were unaware of until, for a variety of reasons. Like I said, we're going to discuss all that, but I do understand that this was not the performance that you expect. It's not the performance that you need, but you are going to get that. Not where I'm going to just say it, you're going to get that moving forward. And as I said, our entire executive team was here last night working on that and committing to what we're going to take up the process, and that that helps sort of ownership piece of it, accountability piece of it apart, that our first meeting in January come back to you was something that you can really feel confidence in. But we do appreciate your time today, because this is it is both a full agenda, but it is a really important one. And there are some incredibly time sensitive matters that are imperative today. So we appreciate it. And again, our apologies, my apologies.
Thank you for that. CEO.
Chairman,
Yes.
and what I want to comment is the sense of staff and our CEOs. I'm thinking that even if you got something in the draft form and it's not perfectly done, if we just get that, and with understanding that, we're still working on it, we just get something to give us a, because when we need the committees, like the agenda items, we kind of go over them. So as much as we can get on things that we turn back on, as quick as we can get it, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just something that, that I can read,
Thank you.
that I can read.
I appreciate those comments, and I know that our executive team appreciates that too. And like I said, I think you will see that moving forward, but thank you.
Thank you for that. I also want to add that, after the lengthy discussion yesterday with the CEO and her executive team, we will be, I'll make it my business personally to have us these agendas, in a timely fashion. So we'll be, I feel great about moving forward. That being said, we are going to move into approval of today's agenda.
All right. Thank you. Yeah.
We have a second?
A second.
Chairman Cole will do a roll call vote.
Yes.
Director Emerson? Director Odell?
Yes.
Director Stone?
Yes.
Director Lockett?
Yes.
Director Adams?
Yes.
Director Robinson?
Yes.
Director Leggett? Director Leggett?
Few dropped off.
Director Taylor?
Yes.
Chairman Cody?
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed for the approval of today's agenda.
Thank you. All right, first we're going to go into our consent action items. Yes, take a motion to approve our consent action items.
I have that motion. Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I have a question.
Yes.
Which one of these was the marine project services? I don't remember. One of these for the ferry?
Not on their consent, that's not individual action items, so we're going to
Okay.
discuss those in detail.
Okay.
And so I had a question about the ones for the Thomas Hutton, what Thomas Hutton's doing for us. Is that also with the consent agenda?
No, ma'am, that's on individual action.
And I have one question about the time change for the, wellness calendar. I'm not opposed to 10 to 11, but I didn't know we didn't have to do that. Or that executive session.
Yeah, that is most recent.
Beverly, the comments on this?
I think it was 2 meetings ago.
Okay.
I brought it up in email
Okay.
and then we talked about it. It was a committee.
Talk about it in committee.
I'm not opposed to it. I was wondering when it came up.
Well, one of the reasons I brought it up was because those of us that work in the morning, it'd be good if we had some time to get that situated before we came. And at 10, it's kind of hard to situate that other stuff so that we can stay.
I appreciate that. I was wondering, how did I miss that?
Our other meetings, some of them start at 11, so this is a little more consistent.
Yes.
With no further discussion, I'll do a roll call vote. Director Emister? Not present. Director Odell?
Yes.
Director Stone?
Yes.
Director Lockett?
Yes.
Director Adams?
Yes.
Director Robinson?
Yes,
Director Leggett?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Taylor?
Yes.
And Chairman Cody?
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed for the approval of today's consent items 1 through 8.
I want to
Did we
say,
lose
just,
some board members?
well, Leggett just responded, I don't see him, he responded, but,
Yeah.
but Clinton disappeared.
Is he on the phone, maybe?
Here,
But yes, we just visually lost a couple.
I just responded. This is Leggett.
Yeah, see,
Oh, there he is.
there it is.
Yeah, we have, you just couldn't see.
Oh, okay.
one thing I want to say before we move on to these agenda items is how incredibly excited we are about the Spirit Transit vehicles. It's going to make such a difference, to those that we serve, with those needs, and, the fact that we're going to be able to get them quickly and get into service is exciting. So thank you so much for your support on all those items, but particularly on that one today.
Right, we'll be moving into individual action.
So, and one of the things, as we've commented earlier in the meeting, is that we want to talk about each of these in a bit more detail, because these are items that we were delayed in getting detail to you from committees to this. So we want to spend a little more time talking about them, and as a part of that explanation, explaining why unusual for this meeting, the number of items that are individual action items that also we had some delays with getting them to you and getting full information to you timely. On the public transportation agency safety plan, the reason that there's time sensitivity to this is a requirement, FTA requirement for us to have this submitted federally correct. Make sure I'm telling this correct, this end of the year. And you may recall that our safety and risk manager chose to go to a private sector opportunity recently. And so we kind of got caught in we're back to that very first conversation we had at the beginning of the meeting about ownership of this particular agenda item, and ownership of this one was transitioning. Cost us a little bit of delay, and that's our delay in getting it to you finally. But there is a requirement in terms of getting these revisions approved and then getting it on to FDA in order to meet those requirements. If there are any questions or comments, Dr. Manning has taken over temporarily. We have on some of the positions like the safety and risk manager that we're recruiting for now in the interim. That's one of the responsibilities that's been temporarily reassigned to Dr. Manning. So if you have any specific questions about this, he can talk about this. And we are actively, by the way, interviewing candidates now, and expect to have that position filled in soon. Dr. Manning, did you have anything in particular with regard to this revision that you wanted to call their attention to?
I think you said it all. So for time purposes, I'm not gonna dwell too much on this. So the FTA came up with a rule that the every agency of our size have to have an agency safety plan. So we have one, what you guys approved, you have just updated it. And the contact person in this case is me. So when you get a report, you're gonna see that my name is on there as the acting chief safety officer. We did also added a few stuff on that. And once you get a report, if you have any questions, reach out to me and I'll be happy to explain.
Are there any particular questions or comments on that?
We're gonna take a motion. Second.
I so move on the item number 1, public agency safety plan, PPASD review.
Second.
Thank you. Director Emister? Not present for the vote. Director Odell?
Yes.
Director Stone?
Yes.
Director Lockett?
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Chairman Cody.
Yes, and I believe we have, a representative.
Director Emerson,
Yeah, I'm having some weird audio issues, but it sounds pretty crazy in my ears right now. But yes.
okay, thank you. Chairman, motion passed
Thank you.
for the approval of item 4.1, key task.
We're gonna skip to number 2, and ATU.
We are very proud to bring this before you today. This has been a journey. As you all recall, back a few months ago, the union actually, at that point, failed to ratify an agreement that we had arrived at. And so we operated under a continuing, the old agreement continued on a month-to-month basis. The bargaining team of Dr. Manny, Ms. Cutter, and myself met with the union again more recently, and we're really proud of what we believe we're bringing forward, a very successful agreement, and the union has ratified that agreement, so it's pending your approval today. We're requesting that you adopt and ratify the agreement, and I want to point out in the proposed motion, because I want to be sure that you're clear on what this particular agenda item encompasses. It adopts and authorizes the CEO to execute a mutually agreed upon labor agreement with the ATU for a 3-year period dated July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2025. There are articles 28, 29, and 30 in the fixed route and maintenance area, and then for personnel, and Article 21 in the paratransit agreement. It's all under one agreement with the sort of 2 sections to it, fixed and maintenance and then paratransit. That includes wage modifications that will be effective the first complete payroll after December 20th, 2022, contingent upon your approval today. So in other words, those wage agreement won't go into place until that first.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes,
How does that impact their annual review increase? It doesn't,
it does.
is that still included in the budget both?
Well, let me finish real quick and then we'll go back. I want Ms. Cutter to go into the details on the financial piece.
Okay.
Just one other detail. Additionally, this motion includes a recommended $1,000 administrative bonus that's effective upon execution of the contracts outside the contract per se, but it's contingent to, it's tied to the timing of this contract. In terms of just the time of it, effective upon execution of the contract for both union and non-union employees, which means that would be put in place prior to the holidays. So with that, Ms. Cutter, if you would both respond to Director Odell's question as well about on that financial impact, and then answer any other questions that we may have. Sure.
Director Adele and Dr. Manny, please chime in if I don't articulate this properly. But the contractual agreement governs the movement of pay. The contractual agreement itself, after X number of months, the employee go from one level to another. After that period of time, then they move up until they reach top pay.
Okay, and does that impact their annual increase? Do they get a cost of living, or do they get?
Everything is driven by the contract, yes.
So on their anniversary date, there's no additional increase, or could?
Everything is driven by, as outlined by the contract. Dr. Manny, within the contract, is that addressed on anniversary dates?
Yes, so
I think because we might have clarified too, I don't see hourly rates in here, I see figures. And so.
It's there's a table, you all don't have it. Once you all approve it, it's going to be cleaned up and it has a table with the new hourly rates, and I can go over those hourly rates, Dr. Robinson.
Well, the only thing I'm wondering is, not this budget, but budget before, we made sure we put money in so that people got an annual increase. So is this going to take the place of the annual increase?
The annual increase, I believe that you're speaking on was for non-union. The contract governs union,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
And if I may explain, the CBA, that is the contract for 3 years. So everything from a year, every year, you get increase. And if you see the table, it's very clear. So once the contract is reached, they don't have any annual pay rates. It's only for non-union employees.
And
Okay,
Director Odell, I will tell you, one of the things that happened is when they failed to ratify the increases that other administrative staff got that were on our regular budget cycle, the union did not benefit from any of that. All of it was ratified. So not having an agreement, like it did govern those increases.
Okay, so we have what, about 80-20 union versus non-union?
I think most of the drivers, both as far as transit and as far as all union. So we're looking about, we're looking about probably 90% of our workforce.
I think that's probably about right.
Yeah.
We can calculate the percentage, but I think that's probably right.
But I have a question about the $1,000 administrative bonus. That's for non-union.
It's for
Oh,
everyone. It's a one cap, it's all employees.
So for union administration, you're talking about the president and the, who would be the union administration to get that $1,000?
No, everybody, literally every cat employee will get it.
Oh, 100%.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's just this year.
Yes, ma'am. It's just a one-time bonus. And where that started was in the union negotiations, the union had requested a specific amount of bonus. And what we wanted to do is looking at the cost savings that we have been able to accrue during the period of time where we were operating under the previous fiscal assumptions because there was that failure to ratify. So we were moving along. There were savings we were able to accrue over what we budgeted for increased wages that weren't actually at that point, agreed upon. And other things like that we were able to, whether it's unfilled positions or whatever. So when we sat down and negotiated this contract, we offered a counter to that bonus proposal that was ultimately agreed to. And we said, and we want us to think about it as one cat, not union and not, but we want to think about it as one cat. So that particular bonus piece, we're going to offer up as a one-time before the holidays, which was part of the union specific request for the holidays, and it every.
The other thing was the 3-year contract, was it that, has always been 3 years or this is?
They're typically 3 years, and we have been trying to adjust so for it to run the fiscal year, which is what you see in here. Now, you'll notice, and that was why I wanted to be sure I read that recommended action. Item 2 is that while the contract period itself runs the July 1 to June 30th, so things that it governs about uniforms and, all those kinds of things, runs that period. The wage modifications, though, in our negotiations were very specific to the first complete payroll after December 20th. So that financial impact won't be seen until that first pay period in January. And that's both the very, trying to think of what's a very healthy improvements to wages for the union personnel, as well as the bonuses we've been able to achieve because of those savings that accrued over that period of time.
And the budgeted amount is based on full occupancy for every position filled, right?
that's
Ones
correct.
that are unfilled and filled.
That is correct.
Okay.
Wanted to add to what our CEO indicated. When we initially started out with union negotiations, there was a $2,500 ratification bonus included. And as she articulated, we have been aggressively moving towards, the one cap. And we realize that it takes both administrative employees and operating employees to make CAT successful. So as a part of this process and affording every employee an opportunity to share in savings when we can, we may not can do this next year. But while we have an opportunity, and it's not costing CAT any additional money in FY23. And that's the great thing. All of this, the increases for FY23, and they are competitive wages that is before you, wherein CAT can compete very well with other entities within Savannah-Chatham County. We were able to negotiate and work this contract without adding any additional costs to the FY23 budget. The table that was a part of your action item, it just it tells you what the budget was for salaries and wages. It tells you what the part year-to-date costs are. That's July through December. It tells you what the second part of the year with the new raises going into effect, what that looks like. And then it tells you the contract says for FY24 and FY25, a minimum 1% increase. So these last two tables reflects that.
And the reason that was also important, I want to comment on that, is you recall that when the contract that failed ratification, remember, was a 1-year contract. So
Right.
how do we get from 1 year to a 3-year? Because the 3-year was desirable and what had been under discussion. You know, our concern, and something Ms. Cutter and I are diligent about, is understanding that there are still concerns out there about a fiscal cliff
Yeah.
for transit systems across the country because of that one-time funding that we got during COVID and so forth, and other kinds of one-time funding that has sort of propped lots of systems up. We haven't been as reliant, I suppose, but nonetheless, it's a concern. So we know that there's that potential liability out there, let's call it. And the other piece is that while the recession in Georgia is predicted to be milder than perhaps in some other parts of the country, the recession is still a recession, and that may also impact us. And so we have been very thoughtful, deliberate, intentional, fiscally prudent, because we're proud of where you all have brought us to, where we have come with regard to being fiscally healthy. So what we did was, that was why we had been so intent on only negotiating 1 year, because there's so many things. The union, and I think they deserve big commendation for this, when we came and sat down to the table in this renegotiation, the union understood what we had been saying about that. They desired to serve the years and tying it to our fiscal years. And so what we all agreed is, okay, if you're willing to take what is the minimum we can commit to, understanding that we're gonna have to come back then each year and talk about that each year and figure out what can we do in that year. But we'll agree to a minimum that gives you certainty, that ties us to our fiscal year, but doesn't put us in any kind of fiscally improvement position. Then we're willing to give you, we're willing to work with you on that. And we both, it was that strong, I think, teamwork between the two of us that is all about that one cap. So we did what we should do on the management and administration side. Our organized labor partners did the same thing as well. So we're really proud of that. So I just wanted to be sure and point that out. That's why that 1% is important.
Just for simplistic for me, is that what I see here in this contract for 2023 through 2025, it has been agreed that at a minimum in 2024 and 2025, they can expect a 1% increase.
Yes,
Is that right?
that's correct.
Now, my other question is, what was the hourly rate for the we call them operators, whether paratransit or fixed route? How does this impact the increase in?
Okay, all of that's included in the figures. Paratransit, starting pay is $15 per hour. For operators, it is $20 an hour. You all approved that, I believe, back in October. That still exists today. The top rate went from $24.84 to $27.45.
Now, when you said the top rate, based on seniority,
Yes, those employed with more than 48 months of employment with Chatham Area Transit.
and the good part is that the budget can handle it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Another thing, just sort of sidebar to this that I think it's important to mention, and I want to mention it here because we're in a public environment, is sort of a side item to this negotiation was one of the things that the union asked us for. You recall the grant application that we did a few months back and our ongoing conversations under the master transit plan about establishing microtransit service as part of our overall service offerings. Ultimately, probably will also help complement or even in some places replace how we prepare transit potentially in a more robust way. We made a very specific commitment. Many transit systems around the country are actually contracting that out. We made a commitment not to do that. We made a commitment in our grant application as well as to the union, that what we want to do is to have the vehicles be our vehicles. We want the operators to be our operators, union operators.
Yes.
And we want to take the opportunity, we included that specifically in our grant application for a training program on electric vehicles and on microtransit, which is just a new service offering in the transit. So if you're a transit employee, it gives you training in the newest and best ways of offering service as well as inputs on electric. So it helps you with work. We're very excited about that. For our union membership friends who may be tuned in and listening today, I wanted to be sure to restate that publicly because we're proud of it and we know they are too.
Are there any other questions regarding the ATU agreement with Chatham Area Transit?
That's the hard work.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Do you have any following questions on?
I'll just say.
That's one movement second.
Mr. Chairman.
You. Chairman, I'll do a roll call vote. Director Emister,
Yes.
Director Odell,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Lockett. Not present for the vote. Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Chairman Cody,
Yes.
Chairman motion passed.
Thank
Thank you.
Next, we'll be moving on to Georgia Power Agreement for excess facility charge.
Yes.
Georgia, on the Georgia Power Agreement, I wanted to explain why this one is good and also, we didn't have all the full details of when it was sort of to say what this would. I think the next one you and I are kind of. So, and the reason that this came forward late is, again, this goes back to, we talked about one of the earlier items because of the transition in staff. There was a transition in staff in the department that this agreement was originally sent to. And somehow it languished and was frankly lost in the shuffle. So the agreement had been sitting here for a bit. And then Georgia Power realized recently, just in the last few weeks, that we had not executed and gotten it back to them, and it had a hard deadline on it for our power charges. You can read through this agenda item, we can talk about it some more, but our power charges were going to increase. So the agreement is very necessary to avoid that. But the reason is because of a change in, this is back to that sort of ownership thing that I talked about at the beginning of the meeting. was a change in staffing, so the agreement got directed to someone who's no longer here, and then it just did not get picked back up, and given the new owners were reassigned, it slipped through the cracks. Georgia Power brought it to our attention only very recently. We understood the urgency of the matter, hence getting it on the agenda without having all the full details at that point. You can see in the agenda item itself, this is a part of the electrification of our fixed route, and how Georgia Power has presented us with a real-time pricing based upon power load utilization. And it would also involve installing a new meter to support it, power load and so forth. So if there's any questions specific to this, we'd like to answer them. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to know if we were looking at supplementing solar panels to accommodate the increase in power.
We are on, for example, on our shelters and so forth.
Right.
We have not started doing that here yet, but Georgia Power has offered to support us in the assessment of solar energy advantages and so forth, and we will be taking advantage of that collaboration.
Okay, because it would supplement a lot. And are they gonna do an audit on our pole lights and switch those out?
You know,
I'm not sure about that, Mr. Flanders. We can find out. Just wanted to add, Georgia Power is one of our Go Green partners. And what is presented here today is really significantly less than what we are currently paying. If we would not move forward with this particular agreement, we would be paying $247,196 instead of what is being proposed of $129,009.99.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it.
No, I wanted to just point that out, that they are a good partner to Chatham Area Transit and work diligently with us to lower our utility costs. So what you're saying, Dr. Odell, they are open to looking at all of those things, whatever it takes as our partner to reduce our utility costs.
so we'll specifically bring forward an audit of the pole lights and see what opportunities.
I was super. I see dollars.
Yeah.
Good way. I thought that was really impressive. Power.
They are excellent community partners.
That's what make the good partner, that's right.
Yeah.
One question though, how would, you know, how would additional electric buses impact? You have the idea of adding one more electric bus to the power grid would have a significant impact.
It would still be at the average rate of 6.993 though, right?
Yeah, the
That's
rate
correct.
will remain
The
the
rate
same.
But the amount of.
You're talking about the load
Yeah.
versus the rate. So the rate would remain the same. The load is gonna always increase.
Yeah.
Incrementally tied to the amount of vehicles we continue to add. And I think that's one of the reasons, Dr. Robinson, why you hear a lot of the conversation nationally around can the nation's grid support the kind of electric vehicle electrification efforts that we're seeing all across the country. One of the good things for us is in the state of Georgia, because our state's leadership and the state itself has made such a strong economic development commitment behind electric vehicles, that, for example, Georgia DOT and their electric vehicle plan that's moving forward, part of that is more charging infrastructure. And so the notion of how load is going to be managed, not only in just our spot, but sort of across the state and that grid built out, I think is something we should feel confident in.
Help me remember, do we have plans to add additional electric buses?
We do. We've got.
Well, we have some currently funded through grants. And I think, and Mr. Massimo, correct me if I'm wrong, we wanted to see how the 6 that we have performed to determine how far we wanted to go with the procurement of electric buses. So.
And we're in the colder climates struggle a lot more with figuring out the fleet expansion than we do, because the pull on those, on the electric vehicle is huge when the heater comes on. So even here, what we've seen with some of these little cool snap days and the meters come on the buses is on those electrics, they pull that much, we don't get this like why span out of it. So working through, there are though, lots of different, both Gillig, our manufacturers, others are working on workarounds for those kinds of things. It doesn't hit us as dramatically because we're a much more refinement, but nonetheless, those are the kinds of things that we've got to consider because it's still
Yeah.
evolving technology.
Yes.
Yes. No more questions. We will move for a motion.
Second.
Thank you. Beverly?
But I would also maybe, I don't know if it should be included in the motion to add to have this discussion about solar, that we need to be looking in that direction and moving in that direction.
Absolutely.
We have so many sun days.
Mhm.
Yes.
And Savannah is an excellent opportunity for collection and storage of solar power.
Agreed. Agreed.
Great point.
Yeah, piggyback on that comment, even with the berries that we're about to talk about, that we get ready for those.
Exactly.
All right, Chairman, if you approve the motion to include the approval of the Georgia Power Agreement and also the staff to research the solar power system for the agency and report back to the board. Its findings. We have a motion.
Surprised. I mean, I think we definitely need to be moving in that direction. And so I would like that to be a part of the motion so that it is on record that we should be moving in that direction.
I think it would be really interesting to have Georgia Power come to a future meeting and present with us
Opportunities.
the solar power options and what they're already doing corporately in that space and how that benefits folks like us, the county, the city, and others.
If they could come after they did the audit, I think it'd be more effective.
Yeah.
Right.
Because when they come in and do the audit, they'll look at all the outside lights, they'll look at our wiring to see if it's efficient and what we can change.
That's perfect. We will get that done.
Thank you. We have a motion by Director Stone and a second from Dr. Robinson. Director Emerson,
Yes.
Director Odell,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Lockett,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Chairman Poe.
Yes,
Chairman.
thank you, brother. If we move into number 4, hybrid ferry construction contract was territory.
So the delay in being able to present full details back in committee on this one was there was still ongoing work with the Federal Transit Administration because we are recommending not the low bidder, but the second low bidder. And we were working closely and diligently with them on the reasons for that recommendation and analysis for that recommendation and making sure that that would be properly considered by the feds in the future when we're audited and when those triennial reviews come forward and so forth. Because these are the very kinds of things that they look at. And we know the procurement process is very much a important consideration for them. So I want to talk through a little bit. All those details weren't available until just this, the last week or so. Is why all the details didn't get to you during committee, but I want to walk through them now because they're very important. So we, from the snapshots over the last several weeks, including last week's, that the situation with our working services and our ferries is just urgent. We have one ferry in water right now. We have 3 that are in various stages of repair, and we are spending a lot of money on repairs to keep those things running till we can take delivery of these. We've also been very proactive in seeking out partnerships, and we know that both a portion of our current allocation to the county of SWAS 7 as well as $1.5 million allocation for the convention center and a smaller allocation for Sandy. We've been able to put those partnerships together to enable us to look towards the replacement of all 4 of the ferries, so that the 3 that are at the end of their useful life can be retired, and then one remaining that has several years left, we can sort of use it as the surplus, if you will, or the backup. I think is a better term for that. So during the month of December last year, the CAT board approved the issuance of a contract for the engineering services for these. We went out to bid. Bids came in. You can see they did come in higher than even the independent cost estimate. You may recall that we let you know that one of the issues with this is this came from an older grant, and that older grant had sat for a bit, and just normal cost escalation, but also the kinds of things we've seen with supply chain and so forth. COVID caught up to us and really came down hard on us with these particular acquisitions, this particular bid. So we had an updated cost estimate done about 5 months ago, and we knew that we were going to be looking at a higher rate than what was originally included in that grant, but it was even higher than that. And again, this is all based upon the things that I know many of you are in business, and you know this because you're saying it too. It's supply chain issues, but it's also cost of materials. We're seeing that across many industries in transportation. So with regard to this particular project, this is for 2 hybrid vessels. And we are recommending the second lowest bidder for this reason. And our marine services manager prepared a very detailed memo that, again, as I said, has also been reviewed by the Federal Transit Administration's procurement personnel. The cost differential is just a bit over $100,000, but the difference after that is remarkable. The second low bidder is committing to deliver 10 months sooner across both vehicles. 10 months sooner. 10 months is a lot too much right now, especially with the condition of those vessels. And the other part is that they've been in business for 75 years, much far longer than lowest bidder. And again, that gives us the confidence because these hybrid vessels are still considered, just like a lot of hybrid technology, still considered a little newer. So we want to be sure that we're getting the most deeply experienced. So the recommendation that we are making with our federal grant funds, or match we have, our reserves that may be necessary also to bring this to a full funded position, is to go with the second list bidder, which is Bravo the director. Ms. Coder, did you have anything to add to that?
I did. One of the strong points supporting our recommendation to Robert E. Director was the construction time saving 10 months in construction time. In order to protect that, we are going to work closely with legal to make sure the contract document really forces their hand in honoring that time frame. And if not, then there is a financial penalty associated with that. So just wanted to point that out to the board. We will protect that through the contractual agreement. Yes. Yes.
Our business perhaps.
Yes.
To that level of performance is required.
That's right.
But the other sort of balance of this is while there was this $112,000 or so cost differential to the actual bids, we're spending that and more right now. Repairs on these vehicles. So the notion of just continuing, and we know that that's money that's necessary, but on the other hand, not necessarily. So we're just throwing money out there to keep it from going. And that's probably not, the most advantageous investment for us. So again, we consider those savings, or those costs. So we appreciate their every consideration. This is a particularly important.
And it protects us when we undergo an FMO review that we've taken all of these steps, dotted all of these I's and crossed the T's.
And you kind of answered my question, because when I see us not doing those bidder, I need to know why. And in fact, now the cost savings, based on the 10 months, you kind of save us more than the difference, then I'm okay with that.
I believe that's correct.
So but how do we know that?
I think that's a projection of looking at, what we did was we looked at what we're incurring costs right now. And we looked at that and sort of projected that forward because we believe that those kinds of things, for example, last week, we put a new engine in one of the ferries, and the very day that they put back in the water, that engine filled with oil.
Yeah,
And so they had to pull it back out of the water, take the new engine off, figure out what was causing that, it was a different part. So it's that kind of stuff that we're having, if we look at the current cost, just the current cost, if I recall correctly, I don't have it right in front of me, but just the current cost that we spent this month on ferry repairs was close to that. Just that.
it was over that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the 3.
And my last question, I think, the 10 months sooner is based on what's the start date?
We won't know that until we actually negotiate the contract and they come back with the construction schedule. It starts from that point.
But we're gonna encourage it to be very.
Yes,
Because this is really genuinely an urgent situation. Like I said, I know that when you just look back at the snapshots over the last several weeks, I'm constantly talking to about the ferries and the problems that we have there right now.
And I do think it's important that legal does take a close look at the contract, and we want to make sure that what we say we want, what we think we shouldn't be thinking much of that. Should be specific. and
That's right.
penalty. I think it's a great idea.
yes, ma'am. Yes.
Are these contracts firm fixed price or cost reimbursement, or what kind of contracts are
These contracts, it's not, these are firm fixed price contracts.
Yes,
they? This firm fixed price?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, but it says 11,000, 11 million,
11 million,
and that's from beginning to end.
yes, ma'am.
Also, Ms. Cutter, these later vehicles should be about more efficient as.
Should be.
Should be.
Yes, sir, should be.
I read that.
Yes, sir, thank you. Will these areas be the same size or larger than what we already currently have? Because you're adding on to the convention center,
Yeah.
that means more traffic.
Well, our current fleet, there are different sizes. So these ferries will be a little larger than the smaller ferries that we currently have.
But
In the
about the
fleet.
same size as.
About the same size as the larger, yes.
And I think there's also, as we look, keep in mind in the master transit plan, I think your point though is extremely well made, that there's growth occurring around us and there's more demand for this, both for the folks who are working in positions as well as the growing tourism hospitality industry that we're so known for. And so I think that for example, we have contacted and are in conversation with both folks that are developing on the Purchase Island side, as well as folks that are still looking down on the dock side or the Plant Riverside area with regard to partnerships, public-private partnerships, to expand facilities that can meet those kinds of needs, including vehicles. So,
I just add to that, that we need to also look at acquiring more in the future already, because we have 4 right now, but only 1 is working. So we don't get a point in that same spot in the future.
So one thing I was gonna save it till the end, but I'll go ahead and throw it out there now. Good news. So yesterday, the FY 23 omnibus was released. And we got a call early this morning, actually around 6:30 a.m. this morning from Senator Warnock's office, to let us know that both of our earmarks are included. One of those is for another ferry.
Wow.
So super exciting. As soon as now the consideration of the budget bill begins, but we made it into omnibus, which is where it needed to be. So just know I was going to wait and see before signing it. There's also an earmark for a paratransit maintenance facility. I'll go ahead since we're sharing it all now. But anyway, so just know that we are thinking exactly like that with regards to is also, that was a matter of discussion. And the chairman was present for that as well. When we met with the legislative delegation, Director Stone was also there as vice chair of this group. Last week, when we met with the legislative delegation, General Assembly was also very supportive of thinking through. Mr. Backer helped set all that up, that conversation up with them, and they were very supportive of fair investments.
So there, I'm sorry, no, you go ahead. Is there any money available or any grants that we could apply for that might rehab one or two of the old ones that have us back up?
I don't think you can get a grant in here quickly enough.
I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
not to,
Not like a competitive grant, you're just talking about.
right, just in general, I mean, we're gonna still get the new ones.
Yeah.
But if we can at least rehab one or two of them for backup in the event something breaks down.
No, that's what we're doing right now.
Right.
That's already ongoing right now. That's what those repairs that I'm talking about.
Right.
They're overhauls and recaps that we're using our existing grant funding to
Yeah.
accomplish. So, and like I said, our idea is to invest in those for them to be able to stretch another couple of years to give us time to take receipt of these new vehicles. And that's absolutely correct.
And my question is more tied to rehabbing, putting back in service with current fleet and adding to it. What about dock space?
That's a part of
Does that impact dock space?
That's
We're
right.
gonna talk a little bit about dock space in a minute, but yes, that is true, and that has been a particular topic. I mentioned to you that we've had those who are encouraging, that are engaged in development that want to talk to us about dock space, dock space. So that we can turn in storage capacity and docking locations, all that kind of thing can be a part of it.
Because Savannah Convention has already talked about us taking up their space and compensation for it. So
Well, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Absolutely, you're correct.
Also, when y'all negotiate these contracts, do y'all ever keep in mind about price breaks according to what we're getting as far as what the vendor is providing?
Well, when we do an RFP, a request for proposals, we put out our specifications. And with the ferry, it was based on, we hired this firm, DeBolt and DeJong, to actually help us with the specifications. So we have to put it out there. And all vendors that are ready, willing, and able to provide the service, they respond to that, telling us what they can and cannot do. And that's when we come in and re-rank them based upon how well they meet and or exceed our expectations. Whatever we desire for a proposer to bid on, we include that in our specifications.
So if a vendor comes in and says, I can provide more than what you actually need, that's what I'm talking about, and we actually need it, do we try to negotiate a price break?
Well,
We provide more, we pay less.
because we receive federal funds, we would have to give every proposer the opportunity to bid on whatever additions to the specifications. We would have to do that.
you have to come in there.
Yeah, so the federal process
That's right.
is very prescriptive.
That's right. That's right.
And that's the fairness and
That's right.
That's your diligence.
it's a fair, it's gotta be a fair process.
Has to be a fair
Right, I mean,
process.
But what I'm saying is, once the vendor has been identified,
Yes.
and you said, well, look, this price. I know it's firm fixed price. Firm fixed price does not mean you can't negotiate up or down. Firm fixed price means for the proposal that went in, that's the price.
Well,
It does not mean you can't negotiate.
okay, once we award a contract, and as they are constructing and we learn of something that would benefit, once that contract is awarded, we can always bring back a change order
Right, modifications.
to modify, yes.
Okay.
But during the procurement process, we have to make sure the bid process is fair to all proposals that are ready, willing, and able to
I'm
provide.
talking about after the vendor.
After we've awarded, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We're always seeking this back.
Okay.
All right.
Yes. Get a motion in.
So,
Thank you, Chairman Cody. Director Emerson? Director Emerson?
Yes.
Director Odell?
Yes.
Director Stone?
yes.
Director Lockett?
Yes.
Director Adams?
Yes.
Director Robinson?
Yes.
Director Leggett? Director Leggett? Not present for the vote. Director Taylor?
Yes.
Chairman Cody?
Yes,
Motion passed, Chairman.
thank you.
Yes, before we go to the next, item, I just want to say to the attorneys, you guys got a lot of work to do. You got all these contracts, we applaud you.
Yes.
They know it too.
Okay, we'll move to number 5, the Western Dodgers.
Again, this is one that the details of this were settling in part with reviews that were needed by legal. And on this particular one, we want to thank Andrew and Shay Bose for the excellent work around a somewhat complicated situation here. This one is specifically tied to the sinkhole that occurred, the section of the seawall that collapsed over on Hutchinson Island. The other thing that we were waiting on details with this one is for the Weston Harbor agreement to come back to us. They had to reach agreement first before it came back to us for us to present to you all. Again, that took more time than what we thought, but the manager at the Weston has been exceptionally helpful in terms of working on this. But what this is this is a dock extension agreement that started off in our standing meetings for conversation. When the sink wall collapsed, we lost one of our docks over there for the time being. So where we have been using the facility, the ferry stop located in the convention center, that dock at the Weston is not intended for our ferry use. And in fact, we've been damaging that dock. And we've also been taking up dock space that they would normally make available in private sectors.
Where was supposed to be?
Well, what we did was we went back and filed a claim under our insurance for what happened with the sinkhole. And we were awaiting a decision on getting us funding, because we didn't have funding sitting around waiting to build another dock. Right? And we sought emergency funding through Federal Transit Administration, and because there was never an actual state of emergency declared on that situation, we didn't qualify. Even as late as a couple of weeks ago, regional administrator called and thought that they might have had a funding source, but it all went back to the declaration. So there was nothing. So we were waiting on compensation or funding for this to come through our insurance claim.
Why wasn't an emergency notified? Why wasn't it deemed an emergency?
That's a call by the state. It's not a local call. So in any event, when we presented all this in the same board meeting, the Weston said, look, what if we build an extension? We'll front the cost, and we'll build an extension on that dock that you're already using, put you in your own location. It'll be built in a manner to not continue to incur damages to the dock. And we'll front the cost for that. And then when you get your claim reimbursement, you just reimburse us. And then Sandy then stepped forward and said, and if for some reason your claim is not found warranted, or whatever the right term would be, in other words, we don't receive any compensation for the claim, then Sandy agreed, and we agreed that we would seek Sandy's support in to make the Weston good. So the Weston felt like their interests were covered, and they offered to go ahead and get this done because there's urgency around this, because one of the ongoing damages that are occurring, but also because of use of that facility by private, yachts and whatnot. And their need to restore that accessibility, especially right now during this time. So, that is why this agenda item took a little bit longer, all of that intricacy, both the legal review of waiting on the Weston's legal review and so forth, but here it is now, and that's the arrangement. We are very appreciative of the kind of collaborative spirit that both our private sector partners like the Weston, our Sandy partners, and others have brought forward to come up with a solution to this, because we're all struggling.
Some, I saw something, there was on the county agenda, approval of funds for this sinkhole.
And the sinkhole may be repaired, that's the
Yeah.
seawall, but our
Okay.
dock is not.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's separate.
That's right.
There's actually, it's a very complicated situation up there because there's county property, there's private property, there's CAT property. I think there's a city piece of there, the state would.
Mhm.
I understand, I was just curious, I was like, wait a minute, we had to approve some funding.
You're fixing the county's seawall and on the county's property, but it's not us.
That's part of the.
Just wanted to make sure that I understood.
If the county would like to.
I'm sure you'd be willing to accept, but I just remember the question of why was the county responsible for that portion? Because it was a fair amount of money.
Yeah, it's the county, it's because that piece is owned by the county.
It is divided awkwardly. They're not, it's like a pizza pie on one side, a cake slice on the other side. Like it's really,
You are absolutely
it's
correct.
top out the way that it's divided up.
And it made
there's
everybody
one- And
confused.
then there's one piece in the middle. I think the piece in the middle belongs to the city.
I'm
And then
with
the
you, I was
surrounding-
just trying to figure out what y'all were talking about funding, I thought, wait a minute, there was some county
Yeah.
money in.
What bad,
I
but
promise you
I
that
think the part
we
that
turn
belongs-
over every rock looking for.
Just
And the insurance claim, by the way, is still pending. You can imagine there's a lot of scrutiny that the insurance companies are putting on this from, it's an act of God situation. But nonetheless, their scrutiny of it and their evaluation of it and so forth remains ongoing. And so I think that it'll be quite a while before we see any payout.
all of them really should have got together and rearranged those apportionments because they're so cockeyed. The way the map is laid out, because they're the pieces.
I don't understand why it was considered an emergency, it was an act of God and but
Well, technically, it could have been negligence and maintenance. That's probably what the issue is.
Overtime.
Uh-huh. So it might not have been an act of God, it could have been negligence.
until you can prove that.
Yeah, right. So that's why insurance companies wait.
And my question about the extension that the Mitch Center is willing to offer. Now, we reimburse it, but you still, will we own that piece or
Yes,
will it
ma'am.
still be theirs?
We will own that.
Yes.
That piece of the dock.
Yeah,
That
right,
piece.
right.
Mhm.
So that kind of gives us a little bit more space.
Yeah.
To dock our ferries. And then my other question was about, with the engineering firm and the cost of the consulting on this piece. And we have a price, but then there's these additional costs that's on this chart. How do we know, if I look at what somebody's getting paid $280 an hour, and somebody's getting paid $85 an hour, when would we use these additional services that would increase the cost of the service?
I'm trying to see what you're referring to.
2023 consulting service rate sheet, it referred you to.
What's the name, the top? Oh, that's a different project. That's a different project. Yeah,
We're on the
And it's
west, we're on the west.
yeah.
You're on the next. You don't need to. Back up, back a little bit, back a little bit. I'm going.
Any other questions on the dock usage agreement? Again, we're really proud of the partnerships that are making solution.
we have a motion and a second.
So
Sam second.
Y'all gotta tell me what, seriously, though, where am I?
You're on the
Weston.
The dog usage.
Dog usage.
dog
Okay,
usage.
I got it now, I'm good, I'm good. I got it.
Chairman Cody, I'll do a roll call vote.
Yes.
Director Benson,
Yes.
Director Odell,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Lockett,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Chairman Cody.
Yes,
Chairman motion passed.
thank you. Next, we'll be moving to our Plant Riverside Ferry Dock Ferry Maintenance Facility cost estimate.
You up, Gertrude?
So the reason, this one again is one that did not come to you with full details in committee, is that this is another one of those situations. One of the things that we have found in past practice is that getting detailed independent cost estimates on the front end of grant applications has not been something that we've done routinely. And you well imagine what happens then is we will apply for a grant, and we will, we will apply for a grant, and the funding that we actually apply for, that we might be very fortunate to be awarded, even with our match, will be insufficient to complete the project. And we have had that consequence. So one of the things that we are trying to do is to make sure that we have this buttoned up. In this particular case, what happened on this one, this is another older grant that funded both the dock at Plant Riverside and funded the ferry maintenance facility over on Hutchinson Island. One grant. Very recently, and sort of, we thought we could finally button this one up. This was the one where we thought we might lose. As a matter of fact, when I first came on board, we had conversations about we thought we might lose this grant. And then FTA advised us that they had given us an incorrect date, and that our date on this one was actually this coming September, not this past. So long story short of all that is that, so we got the appraisal done, independent review appraisal done, all federal process done. And we were counting the value of everything that's on the dock side towards the overall grant, because it's one grant. So that's how we counted, and we had sufficient value in the appraisal to make the match work, and so forth. So now what has occurred is FTA came back and said, no, we want you to demonstrate your match on each project, even though it's one grant. So both for the ferry maintenance facility on Hutchinson Island, as well as for the dock. So when we went back into the files at that point, trying to demonstrate what the cost estimates were for each item, not just the overall grant that we were trying to demonstrate match to, we found that did not exist or exist in the current fashion. So we needed and Thomas and Hutton has been the engineer of record for working on both projects over the life of the grant, along with others that have been consultants and so forth. But they have knowledge of the area, they can quickly move. And what we're trying to do is to get a quick estimate in January that we can turn around and get the rest of our obligations and requirements to FTA buttoned up and demonstrate what we need to demonstrate on match for both projects within this one grant, and get those things underway so that we don't miss this upcoming deadline. Because you would think, well, it's not till next September, but I can tell you, we've eaten up months just in trying to deal with all the appraisal, review appraisal, assessment, coordination with all the partners and federal partners. So we got to move with some urgency on this, and we certainly don't want to ultimately get that hiccup and so what this is for is to just give us a quick turnaround cost estimate that we can use in demonstrating our match purposes. And so the value that's on there, and I know what you were looking at, Director, is my understanding in reading this, is that what they're going to charge us is that amount, that opinion of cost amount, and the other is typical.
Yes.
They would include, it's just sort of their standard form for giving you an estimate, but the estimate that we're incurring here is the
6,500.
So we won't incur an additional costs based on these individual entity they have within their firm, if we should use them.
Not
This
that
is
I'm
all
aware-
encompassing.
not that I'm aware of, that's correct.
Now, I do have a problem with the wording and the discussion piece. Thomas Hutton is not a sole source. It's the preferred source. Because I'm sure that other people could have bid on this back in when we first put it out there, right?
They're the engineer of record for
Right,
this
but
particular,
they're not the sole source.
well, for
this project.
for this cost estimate, we're bringing it forward as a sole source because they have the history of
I read
of-
that- I
of
read
the
that part.
project.
I read that part, but I guess what I'm questioning is when we use the term sole source, as if we had no other recourse.
Well, this is one that we also communicated with FTA on to make sure we did not have to get, quotes and all of that. And it's because anything on the water, it's just a lot goes into approvals, whether it's DNR, construction and all of that.
Contract for engineering.
That's right. That's right. So,
So there was a previous competitive.
Yes.
But for this particular.
Yes.
we're treating them sole source.
Yes.
For what we, for both the fact that we already pulled that contract in.
Yes.
For a task order, if you will.
yes,
We aren't having to procure that task order further in that process because of their history.
yes,
And the quick turnaround and the limited scope of what's here.
But you also justified earlier, the commission, the fact that we know the lay of the land,
yes.
also immediately, we can get to them.
If we need for them to.
Yeah, hurry up. Hurry the project up.
Right, but that
Time and money.
was, yeah, that, what my concern was when we put the word sole source, if I read it, to me, it's saying that we gotta go back to the vote. But because I think somebody said that we had dealt with them previously, and you do have the on-call contract with them. I'm hoping there's cost savings there as well.
And I understand what you're saying,
Right.
preferred versus sole source.
Right,
They are the preferred because they do have that history
right.
with the project. Going out and bidding it, that extends the time that it would take to get the bid, the quotes, the bids in. The new contractor would have to research the project and understand it, and their cost, right, would probably be much more than what Thomas and Hutton has proposed because of their familiarity with the site.
And you said it would save time as well as possibly save money.
Yes, yes, Dr. Roberts.
And FDA is okay.
Yes, yes.
We'll take a motion to set.
That's a rule.
Thank you, Chairman Cody. Director Emerson,
Yes.
Director Odell,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Lockett,
Yes.
Director Adams, Director Robinson,
Oh, yes.
Director Leggett,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
and Chairman Cody.
Yes.
Chairman motion passes.
Can I make a disclaimer at this point?
Yeah.
I don't want staff to think that I don't think their reports are important because they are important. But because of the length of this meeting, and I may have prior to this, I may leave during the presentation, so please don't think I think what you do is important, 'cause I do. And I probably have a zillion questions that you guys gonna have to deal with.
But I do have a question. Are these the same reports we saw in the committee?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Except that, I will say this,
okay.
we've asked everybody to be very succinct and just give you high level, and you've already seen the reports in committee, and they're just gonna
Yeah.
point out a couple of key things for purposes of this meeting.
Okay.
So you already said it. And one in particular, for example, one of the things that under my report, our comms team is going to talk to you a bit about tomorrow. Very, very exciting, sort of fresh new stuff there, but.
Because y'all could just stand up and say, this is what has changed. That works for me.
One of the things I want to do is to take the opportunity at the end of the individual action items to thank you again for your willingness to let us go into the detail we needed to on those items and still get it to you and afford you the opportunity for action today. It's so important And again, this was a bit of an unusual agenda and a bit of an unusual set of items, but we appreciate it. And again, we still have our earnest commitment moving forward to a better year. So with that said, can I move it? Okay, very good. I'm not gonna, I've already told you the one thing I was gonna tell you about the earmarks. Very exciting news. And we are working with, wanted you to also be aware that on the paratransit maintenance facility, we are working with the city of Savannah on the potential for locations for that paratransit maintenance facility and city-owned property. So super exciting, and another great community partnerships. And I'm going to turn it over to Ariel to give an overview for tomorrow night. 35.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Massimo. Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Board of Directors and our colleagues. We are so, oh, wait, hold on. Give me 1 second. So my presentation is showing on our end, it's just not showing right now. And when Ms. Beverly come back, she might be able to put it up there. But like Mr. Massimo said, we are going to talk about tomorrow night, which we are really excited. I'm going to go through the run of show, and Ms. Laura, our HR manager, is going to tell you our employees who are nominated to win Employee of the Year, Maintenance of the Year, Lead of the Year, and Transportation Operator of the Year. Ms. Beverly, my presentation is it's shared, but it's okay. Okay, so for tomorrow night, the event starts at 4:30 p.m. It's going to be here at Cat Central, and we kind of separate it in 2 parts. From 4:30 to 6 will be our stakeholders, community leaders, election officials, the board of directors. We're going to start with a tour of our facilities starting at 4:30 to 5:20, as well as like just a networking social type thing to see your colleagues again. And then around 5:30, we'll have Mr. Massimo present to all of you guys just to talk about our past history here at CAT. Our accomplishments so far, some of our challenges as well, and just how we plan to move forward as well. Then from 6 to 8, it will be all about our employees. But at the end of the presentation that you will see, we'll have those who've been here with the company for 35 years or more to present them as well in front of you guys. So from 6 to 8, we'll be focused just on our employees, where we'll have Ms. Laura tell you who's nominated for this year's awards.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Honored to be here today. There is a lot of hard and important work that comes from human resources, but one of the joys of my role is planning in the employee appreciation events. And I've definitely had the pleasure of working with other staff members like Ariel, like Dion and Ms. Beverly to help plan this event since I am newer to CAT. So I'm really excited to announce bringing back this important program for CAT for the Employee Appreciation Awards. In the past, we've made some improvements to the Employee of the Year awards based on some employee suggestions. And I'm excited to be recognizing those employees who are our frontline employees and those who help make CAT great. The 4 different categories, for the most part, they have not changed. We have a Maintenance Employee of the Year, Administration Employee of the Year, Transportation Employee of the Year for both paratransit and for Fixed Route Operator, and then also Leader of the Year award. We sent out those nomination forms to a smaller group of people, and those will be voted on. I will be announcing kind of the full details of the program and rolling that out beginning in the new year as well, to do a month-by-month nomination. So full details will be discussed tomorrow, as well as the winners will also be announced tomorrow at the holiday party. So now for the nominees. So for Maintenance Employee of the Year, we have Ed Denson, the Facility Coordinator, Marco Gonzalez, who is a Technician C in the Maintenance Department. And for Administrative Employee of the Year, we have Draquan Robinson, ITC Ticket Window Agent, Barbara Shiggs, the ADA Coordinator, Kimberly Miller, HR Clerk, Kevin Dyer, Senior Accountant, Christina Howell, the Fixed Route Operator Coordinator, and also wanted to give an honorable mention to Beverly Dumas as well, who was nominated for Administrative Employee of the Year. But since of her close participation, we decided to just honorably mention her for her hard work.
But Beverly Dumas is never just an honorable.
But I did want to say that she was nominated, but politely with grace declined. We also have Transportation Employee of the Year. So we have Latricia, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing any of these names, Latricia White, paratransit, Charles Grant, Fixed Route Operator, Terry Grubbs, paratransit. And then for Leader of the Year, we have Willie Dorsey, Transportation Supervisor, Valerie Ragland, Service Quality Manager, and Wendy Arden, Assistant CEO, Paratransit. So those are our nominees, and we will have a committee that is going to be voting on those. So we will actually have the chiefs be voting on these nominees, and again, announcing them tomorrow. So I'm excited. This was kind of a surprise that we decided to put together. So hopefully I'm excited to move forward with this program and announce in more details what is to come as we recognize our employees. So thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, everyone.
The service delivery update, Dr. Manning. And remember, Director Odell's request, the top line.
Yeah, so for time purposes, I'm not gonna spend too much time. First slide, please. Now on this slide, this is time performance. Our target was 70. We made 61, so we were very low on time performance. And this is something that as we have more workforce, is going to change. Next slide, please. I'm going to go through this so fast. The ridership, our target, we were barely, so we're a little more than our target, which is a good news for the fixed ridership is coming up. We were over our target. So that is the good news. Time performance of paratransit, not as short this time around compared to last month. We're about 3% short. Am I going too fast?
No.
Okay, cool.
We also failed, right?
Yeah. Next slide. Okay, this is also paratransit continuation and still short on target.
How are you setting your target?
So,
Because you can't really tell people to come ride the bus.
well, if this is the thing with transit, and I hope I have time to explain. If buses are not showing up on time, if driver behavior is bad, these are all tenors. So if our system gets better, we're on time, then that's where public will say, okay, the bus can take me from point A to point B. For more reliability.
Okay.
Yeah. So
But Director Odell, there's also travel and modeling tools that we use to forecast.
Forecast.
Like ridership. of what it should be with all of those, you know, what you should be achieving with all the parameters that you have in a particular location, or types of service, agreements, and all those kinds of things. And so it tells you kind of what you should be able to accomplish, and then you measure yourself against that.
Okay, and are you giving yourself time or consideration in areas like around Savannah Mall at certain times of day when the traffic is horrible? Are you making allowances so that y'all not holding yourself to a standard you can't reach?
I think that's a tricky question.
Well, I would say it's all factored in. So it's factored in. So let's say planning how many traffic lights on a route, you know, how many possible wheelchairs you might pick up. This is all time consuming. So when you plan, that's why the timetable have to be set. That at this point I'll be there this time.
Yeah.
It's all,
Like
yeah.
3:30.
The rush hour to pick up, yeah,
It's really horrible around Savannah Mall.
Yeah.
And you go that whole game.
yeah. So
Okay.
Period.
yeah, pick rush hour. Yeah. Next slide, please. This is a place that I have a problem with, and we're gonna work so hard by doing more campaign advertisement. Our line for paratransit is very low. I guess people are not aware of it. And so this is an area that we should find a means through communication and make sure that the public's aware that not only calling in, you can also go online and do reservation for paratransit.
Is the page optimized for phone usage?
Yes, communication. How's our online setup?
So the client will go online and they'll fill out a whole application.
No, what I'm saying is the page optimized to be used on the phone? Because if it's not, then you go on the phone and it's cockeyed because it's not configured to fit on the phone screen. Then that might discourage somebody from using it. A lot of people may have a smartphone but not have internet at home or a computer. So is the page optimized for phones?
I don't know at the moment, but I could get you an answer.
See you next time.
Okay.
Good question. Next slide, please. So this is our marine, and when other modes are struggling, the marine is doing great with one ferry boat. As you can see, we went over our target. So it was 47 and we started at 52 for the month of November. So I guess more conventions and people coming to Savannah to spend money, which is good for us. So I'm hoping that if we get a second ferry, that might even go more higher. Now, this is what we call mean distance between. This is where our road calls. So if a bus breaks down, how many times? So that's how one of our KPIs is that this was set for 12,000, and we went over. So that means that, and again, it goes back to what I've been saying, that our fleet is over useful life. So, you know, if it's designed for 100,000 and it's now 120 or 100 and almost 200,000, possibility of them breaking out. I mean, breaking down and taking time to swap it really interrupts our services. And so, but when it comes there, give us approval to buy new vehicles.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
What percentage of our buses are over lifetime use?
Well, the paratransit you don't want to hear. We have 31, and out of the 31 are all over 89,000 miles over useful life. And with the fixed route, I think it's about 26 of them that are over useful life. The good news is the paratransit, we're getting 10 vehicles, electric vehicles, and that'll help us out. And if they are good, then I guess we can go ahead and take care of that. Yeah. So this is the wait time, the call center. So our KPI is set for at least 60 seconds. So if people call in, it's measured how long before they get what they want. And I have a plan to set up a dashboard in the future, which is coming up probably some of our stuff next year, that the dashboard will be communicating with the call center. So if you lose a wallet on a bus and you call in, the dispatcher that put that wallet size description will also be on the dashboard for customer service. So it's not putting on hold to call somebody and find out.
I like that.
Yes, and find out where's your wallet. So all that will speed up that wait period, because customer service is the key. If
Will
I,
it allow them to put like a picture on there, or is it just the
the
description?
description, your name. So now what's going on now, if you lose a wallet or any item, you call center, have no idea, they'll call dispatch and says, hey, route bus number 123, let me look in the book. All that is gonna change. We're gonna use technology to be very effective and efficient. That's why Mr. brought me here. All right, the next slide, please. Again, the incoming calls, as you can see, it went very low. We were set up high, and people get tired when they call and too much on hold. They say, you know what, I'm not even calling anymore, so we are.
How many operators in there?
Oh, you mean the call center?
Uh-huh.
I think, if I'm correct, we have about 10, and they're all running a shift. So what is not happening now is that the customer service call center closes before our operations. So in other words, the last bus comes in at 10, customer service closes like, I think, around 5. We're gonna change all that and make sure it syncs with our hours of operation. So,
You're gonna change the schedule?
yeah, to
Will it be
fit.
a rotating, or you'll put permanent people on that tag?
It's rotating, but what is happening now is that I spoke to the manager, we're gonna have to sit and, restructure the whole schedule to match with what our operation hours are.
And how many calls is the average per agent?
It goes up high, like you can see in the month of November, right? You have about, 16, is that 16,000? 17, yeah.
Oh,
No, so, yeah, so this is our target. And so we're a little low.
And that's divided by 10 people?
I think the shift is about 4 people per shift. I'll get you that information to be accurate, yeah.
Because what's the average time of a call? 2-3 minutes?
Well, it depends on what the question is like. For example, is the 4 running? Okay, and if information is shared, then again, back to my dashboard plan, if information is shared, then the customer rep will know what the whole thing is instead of going to find out what the story is. So, yeah.
And does each agent answer all calls, or is it a tiered system where one agent is responsible for a higher level of call?
No, all calls,
Transferred to her, or they
all goes in through wherever, yeah. So if I'm on a call and then the phone rings, you are free, you just pick that, yeah. But we'll look into all that and make sure that it's a key to what we do. Because people calling, they have to be certified with what our information is. Yeah. And I think I did good with time, right? Yeah. All right, good.
You gave us great information. We're excited about next year. That's all.
Yeah, we did that. I mean, if you go to other transit system, they're using technology to make the system more efficient and better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's.
Because we're in 2023.
Yes,
We can't act like
we can go through a book and try to find some stuff.
We gotta
Yeah.
keep it pushing.
Yeah. Now, I'm happy to announce that the Route 4 is back. And so we were running a shuttle for the senior citizen at this Savannah Summit, and that's part of the Route 4. So the shuttle is ended. But the good news is that the Route 4 is back, and it was so important because it connected to so many routes. So we're happy to bring that back. And as we hire more and train all those suspended routes, we're going to bring them all back. Yeah, that's the goal.
So are we talking to Savannah State about bringing that back, or is that gonna stay out?
Which one, the 4?
Savannah State, that's Thunderbolt.
They had a special shuttle.
Oh, okay.
And then we stopped using it because people were using Lyft or something.
Yeah.
And they called us and said, are we coming back? Or
Yeah, so this is what happened. They reached out to Ms. Faye about, this are all senior citizens, and of course they have fixed income. So, and since the 4 was suspended, the 4 was part of that route that goes through the summit.
What you talking about, Dr. Manny, though, Savannah State.
Oh, state is a different thing?
Savannah
Oh,
State is
okay. Well, then I'm lost.
That reconsideration of what needs to go in there and how best to serve Savannah State is coming into the master transit plan.
Well, the other thing was that Thunderbolt was getting the benefit of the Savannah State Shuttle, and they wanted it back,
Right,
but they didn't want to pay for it,
that's right.
and they didn't want to ask for it, they wanted it to just go over there.
Thunderbolt has indicated some quiet interest.
Okay.
I would call it quiet interest right now in looking towards what the future might be for particular transit services there. And I think it's been generated by, and I see it up here on Dr. Manny's list, almost still a little bit of his thunder. So on the Garden City service expansion with 6 new stops there, that we should have in place right after the first of the year. We just had a meeting with Fort Whitworth. And Fort Whitworth wants service in place by next summer. And we are aggressively pursuing that. So I think places like Thunderbolt and those kind of areas are looking and saying, you know, we see benefit and want to have some quiet conversations with you to figure out what our future looks like. But on Savannah State proper, service to Savannah State and figuring out what that looks like moving forward is being considered a part of master transit.
I'd also like to ask, you mayor, you better open.
It is. Yeah, Thunderbolt administrator has indicated, like I said, I would call it a quiet level of interest, but Fort Whitworth and Garden City are in. They are in. And we're also getting really good feedback back from the surrounding area on the whole notion of how do we get people to and from jobs that are in all of this economic activity that's happening all around us outside of Chatham County. So, I mean, CAT's future is just like nothing but bright.
So one more question. What about Gulfstream? Have we figured out something to deal with them so people aren't driving, walking from the airport?
Well, we've got, you want to talk about the stop at the airport, somebody, or Billy?
Yeah,
We do have a stop at the airport now.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the people who work at Gulfstream come off at the airport and walk from the airport to Gulfstream.
So we rerouted that to fix that issue from them walking across from
Okay,
that area off limits. And we're also marketing at the information desk and selling tickets as a second ticket window.
okay, is there any possibility to go closer to Gulfstream? Because that's about 3 miles that they walk.
So we are stopping at Gulfstream as well.
We are now.
Yeah, it's going down Gulfstream.
And Gulfstream is also our partner on the master transit plan. They are an active stakeholder participant in terms of looking at how they might grow their, how the demand might grow, but also how service may grow in and around the facility.
Okay, thank you.
okay, you're welcome.
Is it also true that we can't stop at Savannah Mall anymore?
The Route 6 is Route 14 is going across the street to the south side of Walmart. And there's signs that were removed by amenities that have been put back in place recently.
So that's of right now, there's no stop at Savannah.
Not at the front door.
But on the back end it is,
Yeah, it runs around on Patchy and Shaw.
over where the library is.
The VA is now the time point.
Yeah.
To catch it in front of the VA.
There's several.
No, there's some over on the back end of, behind Target. What's that? It's over to the airport. I just saw it. It's over to the library.
Heroes Way. Used to be called Rio Road. I think it was renamed Heroes Way.
Yeah, over there.
Okay.
Okay, where was I? The electric vehicles, we're gonna have one on display tomorrow. So board members, if you're interested to see, it'll be here from 4:30 to 6 p.m. Part of our talk. So those of you who haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you come see it and test drive and see what we're bringing here. So Ms. Fay already talked about our expansion to Garden City. Thanks to Mr. Vector, Mike, we worked very hard together with the Assistant Chief of Maintenance. So we find we have to have 6 stops, 3 inbound and 3 outbound. So we work with GDOT to locate those where we want to put those shelters. And it went well. GDOT is working with us to give us the permit. And then we're gonna go into construction to have those shelters done. We did a graduation, I guess it was a big deal, so most of you must have heard about it. Moving forward, all students that come through our program and graduate, we have a graduation ceremony. So we did one just December 5th, there's another one coming up. we'll make sure that the board is aware of the next graduation. If you can participate, support this, that would be great.
I want to give, it's not on the revision updates, but I wanted to give, I know you're on, I want to give a shout out though to Director Lockett, Sherry Cody, who we were here at 4:30 yesterday morning as a part of the 35th anniversary activities. We had a breakfast yesterday morning for operators. So we were in there serving up grits and
It's a lot of food.
eggs and stuff. And so we were dishing that food yesterday morning as also as a part of our, but it's also a part of this just showing how much we appreciate our operators and stuff. So,
Yeah, that's a good point.
Trying to give us an opportunity.
we're gonna go ahead and go on the planning.
Okay, all right.
I want to be mindful of their time, and I think the rest of us. Billy, let's move the.
Yes, I'll be quickly. You go to the ridership slide. So this ridership slide hasn't changed from committee last week. This shows that with the service modifications, the reliability on these routes have increased, which has further changed our passengers per hour on all of our routes. Next slide. For our temporary modifications, so that started on October 31st and has been in effect for 30 days now. CAT's planning team is still in the evaluation and analysis phase. For the master transit plan, stakeholders meeting was conducted last Monday on December 12th, and deliverables are expected to CAT by the new year. For the TDP COA, the first draft has been delivered to CAT, and it's currently being redlined by the planning staff. Next slide. The Route 4 Barnard CAT staff is pleased to inform everyone with feedback from the public. The Route 4 has been restored with operations Monday through Saturday from 8:30 to 5:30. We currently do not have Sunday or holiday service. Next slide. And lastly, we are currently working with our communications team and WRA consultants to do public outreach sessions at various locations across the city to further equity analysis required by Title VI and TDP updates every 5 years. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, here we call it Barnard.
Barnard.
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm just starting to say Chatham. It took me a while.
Down here, that's what you said.
Financial services, Ms. Cutter.
Okay, everybody knows the numbers don't change, right? So what I'll do is just flip through the slides, say something brief unless there's a question. I'll be more than happy to answer. Revenue still exceeds expenses, good thing. Next. Revenue by category, largest source, special district transit tax. Next. Expenses, largest major category, no surprise, salary and wages. Cash receipts for the month as outlined, 1.3 million for the special district transit tax. The ups and downs of the budget are clearly outlined. Operating reserves, we made a $2.4 million deposit in the month of November. Right now, the balance in the reserves is $6.5 million. The action items we've addressed this morning already. On-call services, I beef proposals for the ferry boat, collective bargaining, union agreement, and others. What's coming, the ferry boat funding strategy. You know, we sent so much to the board on yesterday. We felt that since this is a comprehensive report, we'll save that to maybe next week. Okay. Recruitment numbers presented in committee. Dr. Robinson did ask about the number of exits I have staff working on that. As of today, I don't have that number yet, but it will be reported at the next meeting.
And are we doing exit interviews?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Other HR data that was reported. And thank you. Any questions?
Did you hear that? Director Adams said that's a quick report. She said.
At least from this guy.
Chairman, I'm gonna turn it back over to you for old and new business, and then we.
Thank you. All right, first of all, I'd like to mention on the whole new business, we want to create a subcommittee for our outside litigations and other things that all board members gonna get to be a part of. So we're gonna create like a 3-member board member for the subcommittee next month, January. Also, I would like to thank everybody for attending today's meeting. We are at that time of year when we all celebrate the holidays with our family and friends. Throughout the last year, our team at CAT, we've endured a lot of problems. Let's say we endured a lot this past year. We had a lot of ups and downs. I'm glad to say that the problems that transit has across the world, one of the main problems is driver shortage. As we all recognize what our staff is doing, with our CEO, we're addressing that with the lead of Dr. Manning, with his great ideas and new innovation to bring in some more drivers. We really appreciate the graduation that came up. We also have a problem with fuel prices across the world of transit. Our team has electric buses and trying to put that in effect. We also had bad routes across the world, which is another problem with transit, and which we have now a master transit plan that went through this year. So in all, as Chatham Area Transit is concerned, we've made great improvements throughout the last year. And that's in direct effect with our CEO that's putting the right people in place. That's with our staff working night and day diligently, like she said. It was last night doing work. This is work, I mean real work. And so for me, I look at that and I see our company has grown and is growing faster and better every day. We have one thing that I take great pride in is when we was faced with situations, we went out and we hired a great CEO. And I really enjoyed talking with her and going through everything that we've been going through. And she's finding people that's making solutions to problems that's been here for years. And I also want to thank and congratulate Chatham Area Transit for 35 years of excellence. You know, I go back to 1987 when Garden City got partial transit there. And that really, I can't even describe how it feels to be on this board as the chair when I was running around the neighborhood with Ms. Viola Bell, going door to door, soliciting for transit to come in our community. You know, throughout the years from the beginning of transit, you got kids that couldn't get to school, you got people that couldn't get to work. And for us to be in this position to improve upon the world and get people more acquainted with each other, you know, I take my hat off to the work and dedication that our CEO and staff has put into effect. And with that being said,
I have one last thing I wanted to share with you all that I'll be sending out to you in an email. I know we've recently reminded you that we don't have our SLOSS 7 IGA in place currently. And we've been working diligently with the county to get that accomplished. We had asked for the agenda item at the last county commission meeting. We wanted an opportunity to talk further about it with both the county manager and other staff, chairman, and so forth. We sent over yesterday a revised memorandum and IGA that just very straightforward, clean approach to our SLOSS 7 IGA and the 10 million that we are so fortunate that the county line item in for us to accomplish our work. So I will send that out to the board today. Just know that it's now scheduled. It'll be at one of the January meetings of the Chatham County Commission, and we want to just be sure and ask for your support and help in making sure that it goes forward as we've asked. So thank you so much. And with that, Chairman.
I want to thank, yes, I want to thank our community and our staff again. And I want to wish everybody a happy Merry Christmas and a very happy New Year. Thank you.
And next Friday, or excuse me, this Friday will be your last snapshot for the year. I'm gonna take it with you.
Just a quick, I'll just put on the, we like to put those to the staff and take the direction. And a good chair.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We have the best board. This is the best board for sure.
Like, adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
See you all tomorrow night. We hope.
Bye, y'all. Thank